The rain had been falling steadily over London, draping Clarence House in a gray, solemn veil. Inside, the renovations were humming along quietly, almost too quietly, when Jack, a workman with a knack for noticing details others overlooked, was handed the task that would change everything. A simple wall repair, they said. Just remove the old plaster and smooth it over. But as Jack tapped gently at the brittle surface, the wall shivered under his hammer in a way that didn't feel right. A jagged crack appeared, bigger than expected, exposing a dark hollow that hadn't seen light for decades. His heart jumped, and for a moment he froze, aware that what lay beyond could shift lives, shake reputations, even alter histories. Curiosity edged out caution, and he climbed down, peering into the shadowed void. Dust hung in the air like a suspended secret. Inside the hidden chamber, the air was heavy with decay, a faint musk of age clinging to every surface. Wooden crates sat stacked, cobwebs threading corners like forgotten memories. Jack's hands, though roughened from years of labor, trembled slightly as he lifted lids and pushed aside layers of dust. Each crate revealed fragments of an era long past: faded silk dresses, delicate slippers dulled by time, jewelry boxes whispering with the soft clink of hidden stories. One box contained a pearl necklace, its luster surprisingly intact, glinting faintly under Jack's headlamp. But it was the final crate that stopped him cold. A leather-bound diary and a stack of photographs lay nestled together, seemingly waiting for discovery. He pulled out a photograph and held it to the light. Princess Diana, captured in an effortless moment of joy, her eyes radiant, her smile timeless. His fingers brushed the back, reading the familiar handwriting. "To my little boy, dearest William." Jack's breath caught. This was no ordinary find. The implications struck him instantly. Whoever had hidden these relics had intentionally sealed them away, choosing secrecy over disclosure. He could feel the weight of generations pressing on him. Camilla's private study lounge, once a place of quiet luxury, had become a vault of tangled emotions, hidden intentions, and unspoken histories. Jack understood he was now a guardian of something larger than himself, a link between past and present. He carefully restored the crates, resealing the chamber with fresh plaster, erasing all traces of intrusion. The responsibility, however, stayed heavy on his shoulders. Days passed before he acted. Finally, he took a photograph of Diana's note and the pearls, sending them to a contact whose eyes he trusted to understand the gravity of the situation. That contact was Prince William, now holding the evidence in his hands, his pulse quickening as recognition hit. These weren't just keepsakes, they were fragments of his childhood, threads connecting him to a mother he had lost far too soon. The thought that Camila had controlled, hidden, even possessed these relics sparked a fierce mixture of grief, anger, and resolve. William knew he had to see the truth for himself. Under the cloak of night, he met Jack at a dimly lit pub, the sort of place where anonymity came easily and questions could be asked without drawing attention. Jack, awkward but earnest, relayed every detail of the discovery, the hidden chamber, the careful stacking of relics, the subtle markings Camilla had left to claim ownership. Williams absorbed it all with a sharp focus, his mind racing with strategy and emotion. This was more than a personal confrontation. It was a reclamation of memory, of legacy, of a mother's life preserved in secrecy. They planned quietly, each understanding the stakes, aware that one misstep could spiral into scandal, betrayal, and irrevocable damage. By the time they arrived at Clarence House that night, the gravity of what lay ahead had settled into a tense, electric anticipation. Shadows stretched across the grand corridors as William and Jack moved silently, tools and flashlights in hand. Every creak of wood beneath their feet, every echo off marble, reminded them of the fragile balance between discovery and danger. When they reached the patched wall in Camilla's private study, a hush fell. Hands steady, Jack chipped gently at the plaster, exposing the hidden void once more. William's heart thumped, but his resolve held firm. Beyond that wall lay truths long buried, relics of a past that demanded acknowledgement, and a confrontation with a woman who had spent decades wielding silence as power. The chamber yawned open, waiting. The next move would set everything in motion. William stepped into the dim chamber, the air thick with dust and secrets. His flashlight cut through the gloom, revealing crates stacked like sentinels of memory. Each box was a fragment of Diana's world, carefully curated, meticulously hidden. His fingers hovered over the lids, hesitant for a moment, as if touching them without permission could break the fragile line between past and present. Jack, watching silently, understood the unspoken rules of this encounter. This was William's inheritance, his truth, and he was merely a guide through it. The first crate revealed its treasures quickly. Silk dresses, their colors muted by age, but still exuding an elegance no time could erode. William ran his hands along the fabric, feeling the texture, the history stitched into every seam. Next came a collection of small jewelry cases, pearls, rings, bracelets, all carefully preserved. His eyes caught a familiar necklace, the one his mother had worn in countless photographs. A tight knot of emotion twisted in his chest. He lifted it gently, the pearls cold but alive under his touch, a bridge across decades. Jack cleared the final crate, revealing the diary and photographs that had first sparked William's journey here. He held the diary reverently, flipping through pages filled with delicate handwriting, notes of triumph, fear, love, and solitude. William's gaze lingered on one particular photograph, Diana, smiling warmly, eyes sparkling, a note on the back inscribed in her unmistakable hand. "To my little boy, dearest William." The words seared him with a mix of grief and determination. These were not mere keepsakes. They were pieces of her soul, preserved in secrecy by someone who clearly wished to claim them as their own. A sudden creak in the hallway drew their attention. Camilla's presence was near. William's pulse quickened, the adrenaline sharpening every sense. They moved cautiously, knowing exposure could shift the balance of power instantly. Camilla, alert and calculated, was a force to be reckoned with. Her every action designed to maintain control. But William's resolve was tempered by grief. Guided by the love and memory of his mother, the stakes had transformed from curiosity to moral obligation. He turned his attention back to the items, piecing together the narrative Camilla had tried to obscure. Each artifact, each note, was part of a deliberate concealment. She had hoarded these relics not out of reverence, but possession. A methodical injustice had been committed, and William, inheritor of both truth and legacy, would not allow it to stand. He carefully gathered the diary, the photograph, and the necklace, holding them close. Jack's presence was steady, a silent anchor in a sea of uncertainty. Stepping out into the night air, the chill cut through William's coat, but it did nothing to diminish the fire burning inside him. They moved swiftly to a safe location, far from prying eyes, each step deliberate, each breath measured. The pearls, diary, and photograph were now not just items. They were evidence, testaments to Deanna's life, her memory, and the truth Camilla had attempted to control. William's mind raced, plotting the next steps. He needed more than recovery. He needed accountability, confrontation, and clarity. Inside a small secluded study, William laid the items on the desk, arranging them as if reconstructing a shrine. Every detail mattered. The pearls glinting under the lamp, the diary's edges curling slightly with age, the photograph positioned to capture its intimate message. He traced the handwriting again, feeling the presence of his mother in every curve and loop. Jack stood back, aware that any intrusion would be unwelcome. Here, William was both son and guardian, heir and avenger. A plan began to form. He needed to confront the deception, to reveal the truth of what had been done. Camilla's hold over these relics had been absolute for decades, but now it was vulnerable. William's anger simmered, tempered by a clear sense of purpose. Each artifact in front of him was a piece of a puzzle, the final picture demanding resolution. He would face Camilla, demand explanations, and ensure that Diana's legacy was restored, untarnished, and protected. The night deepened, silent save for the occasional rustle of papers or distant footsteps. William remained at the desk, the items before him, feeling the weight of history settle in his chest. Each decision from here onward would carry consequences, but he was ready. The past had been hidden, yes, but the future? His future, Deanna's memory, would be reclaimed. He took a deep breath, steadying the storm within, preparing for the confrontation that would finally bring truth into the open. The stage was set. The players ready, and William's resolve was ironclad. William's eyes lingered on the photograph one last time, memorizing the warmth in Diana's smile, the careful curl of her words, the intimacy of her message. He folded it back into the diary, securing the treasures that had been hidden away for decades. Jack watched quietly, knowing that the moment of action was approaching. The hours had passed in preparation, and now the confrontation was inevitable. William rose, shoulders squared, heart steady despite the storm raging inside him. They returned to Clarence House under the cover of darkness, moving with silent precision. Each step through the palace corridors echoed the tension of decades-long concealment. William knew Camilla's instincts were sharp. Any hint of intrusion or knowledge could trigger her defenses. They approached the private study lounge, the door looming like the barrier between truth and deception. Jack hesitated, giving a subtle nod. William inhaled deeply, then stepped forward, gently pushing the door open. Inside, Camilla was already there, her eyes widened, the veneer of composure faltering as she registered the presence of William and Jack. The stolen artifacts lay in her sight, yet she had no control over them now. William's voice was calm but firm, carrying the authority of someone who had reclaimed what was rightfully his. "Camilla," he said, each syllable deliberate. "These belong to my mother. They were never yours to claim." Camilla's lips trembled as she attempted a defense, words flailing. "William, you don't understand. I protected them. It was necessary." Her tone teetered between desperation and defiance. William shook his head, letting the silence speak for itself. The weight of decades-long secrecy, the calculated concealment of memories and relics, demanded acknowledgement. No amount of justification could obscure the truth now. He stepped closer, laying the diary and the photograph on the desk. "This is Diana. Her life, her words, her legacy. You tried to possess it, but I will restore it." Camilla's hands quivered as she reached out, almost reflexively, but William's steady gaze held her back. The room was charged, every breath taut with tension. For a moment, it seemed as if time itself had stopped, the past and present colliding in a silent reckoning. Jack stood beside William, a quiet sentinel, observing the unraveling of power. Camilla's composure broke, tears streaming down her face, the mask of authority crumbling into raw vulnerability. "Please, William," she pleaded, "don't take everything away. You'll ruin us all." William's expression softened only slightly. Compassion remained, but it was tempered by resolve. "I am not here to ruin, only to restore," he said. "Your role in this ends now. The truth must live." He gathered the artifacts carefully, ensuring nothing was lost or damaged. Each item was more than a symbol. It was a connection, a bridge to a life that had shaped him. The pearls, the diary, the photograph, they were threads linking past to present, memory to action. William understood the weight of responsibility now fully. Camilla's influence, her manipulation, could no longer hold sway over these remnants of Diana's life. As he prepared to leave the study, William turned to Charles, who had entered silently, witnessing the aftermath. The king's eyes reflected a mixture of grief, understanding, and cautious relief. No words were needed. The sight of his son reclaiming his mother's legacy conveyed everything. Charles nodded faintly, a gesture of quiet acknowledgement, and stepped back, allowing William to take the lead in resolving what had been hidden for so long. Outside, the cool night air washed over William, a cleansing that mirrored the resolution within. Jack followed, carrying the last of the relics with care, his presence a reminder of loyalty and courage. The palace lay quiet behind them, its secrets now partially revealed, its past confronted. William held the items close, feeling the weight of responsibility shift into purpose, determination guiding each step. He paused for a moment under the dim glow of the street lamp, the artifacts secure, the truth reclaimed. Diana's words echoed in his mind, a steady guiding light. "Be strong, always protect the truth." William inhaled deeply, letting the quiet strength of that message settle into his bones. He was ready to honor her memory, safeguard her legacy, and confront the future with unwavering resolve. The night felt endless, yet, for the first time in years, a profound clarity had settled. The shadows of secrecy had been lifted, and William walked forward, carrying not only treasures of the past, but the enduring spirit of his mother into every tomorrow.